I am Geoffrey and this is going to be my first commentated Let's Play of our mod 1648, 30 Years of War. I will be playing the Kingdom of Sweden on very hard, one of the easiest factions. For that reason, I have made a modification of the campaign, which I will post on DW Center. The modification makes the Catholic factions, especially Austria, the Catholic League, and Spain, stronger, more aggressive, and a greater challenge. Being stronger, the Catholic factions tend to march further north and be more of a threat.
Very well, sire. Concealing the troops by your order.
Sweden starts in a well-isolated position, well protected from the AI. That not only has difficulty with naval invasions, it also has difficulty calculating the center of gravity of the human faction whenever there are major geographical obstacles, such as, in this case, the sea. Sweden starts with a particularly high number of starting generals: Gustav Adolf, his right hand Johan Bernaer, the Swedish Chancellor Axel Oxenstierna, Hermann von Wrangel, a Scottish general Jacob Ramsay, the heir Carl Philip, Gustav Adolf's younger brother who was actually slain at the Battle of Narva, and among else various other historical generals, including Gustav Horn. Sweden starts with 3 settlements: Göteborg, Norrköping, and Kalmar. They also start with a large number of merchants and 1 diplomat, Olof Bengtsson. Every settlement has a special building that provides special benefits, some units that can be recruited, as well as, for example, trade benefits. Norrköping Star Fort also provides trade benefits, and Kalmar Castle provides a trade fleet. One important characteristic of the Swedish involvement in the war was their financing by their allies, the French as well as some of their German allies. This is an important part of the campaign. By the way, with Ctrl-N you can remove the names of the generals to get a clearer view. So it is an important part of the campaign that the Swedes can obtain financial support from their allies. There are ways this can be achieved, and that is important in order to bring the excellent Swedish units that can be hired in the Swedish cities into the continent and into battle with the Catholic factions. So here again are the various generals of the Kingdom of Sweden and the victory conditions that include eliminating the Catholic League and holding 35 regions, including some of the regions that Sweden historically controlled during the war around the Baltic. The starting capital was Göteborg, but it was moved to Kalmar as the faction expanded. Historically, Sweden had fought a war with Russia. As a result of that war, they won Estonia and eventually the coast of Livonia, following which they started a war with Poland. They invaded the northern coast of Poland and took Danzig and Dachau. Gustav Adolf was injured in both sieges. In fact, he nearly died at the siege of Danzig. After the end of the involvement of Denmark in the 30 Years' War, Sweden bought Stralsund from Denmark. I will lift the fog of war so we can see a little bit better what we are talking about. They also enlisted into Swedish service various Scottish regiments that happened to be in Stralsund at the time. They included Mackay's Brigade, and that features in the mod. The brigade included Robert Monro's infamous regiment. From Stralsund, having defeated Wallenstein, Gustav Adolf marched south. They threatened Berlin and forced Prussia to enter the war on their side. Prussia agreed to support and finance the Swedish army, following which the Swedes moved towards Magdeburg. Unfortunately, they did not get there on time to save Magdeburg from the siege, so it was destroyed by the army of Count Tilly. After that, the Swedish army marched towards Saxony, towards Leipzig, forcing Saxony to enter the war on their side as an ally and also support them financially. They fought the famous Battle of Breitenfeld near Leipzig, there at the top of the screen. Following which they marched towards Franconia, this part of Germany, where they besieged Würzburg, Bamberg, and the other cities of this area. In these sieges, Robert Monro saw a lot of action with his regiment, following which they marched further south towards Bavaria. They took Ulm, which you can see in the upper part of the screen there, and Augsburg, which you can see on the upper right-hand corner. They even marched towards Munich, in fact as far as Munich, and took Munich briefly, then marched back up again through Franconia, fighting some battles with Count Tilly, who died at around this time from his wounds. Eventually they fought a battle also with Wallenstein, and the Swedes did not fare very well in that case. It was perhaps the first time they did not succeed in a battle. Eventually they marched back to Leipzig and fought the Battle of Lutzen, a Pyrrhic victory for Sweden, as Gustav Adolf was slain in that battle. As a result of their merchants, the Swedes start with a good income, around 6,000 gulden. On game turn 3, Gustav Adolf was married to Marie Johanna. He married to someone with a similar name during the actual war. And on game turn 3, the Palatinate elector is crowned King of Bohemia. The Protestant factions begin to make alliances with each other. There are a few battles against rebels in Sweden. Historically, there were minor battles with the Danish, with whom the Swedes were at war at this time. The income's gone to about 7,000 gulden by game turn 6. Kingdom of Sweden has allied with the Duchy of Brunswick. You can see here 6 allies already by game turn 6, very important. Income has gone to 7,500, and on game turn 6 we have the first war between the Protestant Union and Bremen. Also, the 80 Years' War breaks out once again, the war between Spain and Netherlands, more attacks on rebels in Sweden, easily won. Eventually also Sweden allies with Saxony, a little too early. Historically this happened much later. Now there are 8 allies, including Baden and the Palatinate. More battles, more fights with the rebels. All that helps to improve the authority of Gustav Adolf, as well as the loyalty of our generals. A bride was betrothed to Heir Carl Philip, and he is married, a lucky man. Aachen has rebelled against the emperor, if I'm not mistaken. That actually happened before the 30 Years' War. And more battles with rebels, easily won as usual. And here is our great leader. The focus is on market buildings and diplomacy buildings, as the diplomats were a source of income during this campaign. Kalmar was made into the main port in preparation for the invasion of the continent. And Sweden, by game turn 10, had 10 allies. After that, alliances become more difficult. The Netherlands have rebelled against the Spanish, declaring independence. The Spanish are marching in response against the Netherlands, and war is also declared between the Netherlands and the Duchy of Austria. With 10 allies in the bag, the diplomats begin to focus on financial agreements. You can see also improvement with the Protestant factions, the relations with the Protestant factions, and that income is improving. Here is at 8,600. War breaks out between Baden and the Catholic League. A shipyard is completed in Kalmar. Income has gone up to 11,000. And more wars now. Electorate of Mainz against the Protestant Union, the Duchy of Brunswick against Bremen, Hessen against the Catholic League. Kalmar acquires an alchemist guild. There are more wars now. Trier against the Protestant Union, the Kingdom of Denmark-Norway against the Archbishopric of Bremen, and the Swiss Confederacy against Austria. The first ship is built in Kalmar, an expensive one. And an interesting little historical detail introduced by Monty Mungundiakum is the mysterious book with white letters on black paper that has never been deciphered. Still more wars. Duchy of Prussia has gone to war with the Catholic League. The electorate of Cologne has gone to war with Utrecht. Saxony has gone ahead of their historical time at war with the Imperial Archduchy of Austria, and overall Catholic factions and Protestant factions are having a go at each other, as it happened in real history. Up north, more fights picked up with rebels. And as you will shortly see, wars have been actively pursued elsewhere. Here the Catholic League has managed to take Kaiserslautern from the Palatinate, as it happened historically a little bit later. And the other Catholic factions are similarly being active in the area of the Rhineland, again as it happened historically. Income is improving thanks to the diplomatic missions and a new mission for a diplomatic agreement with Austria, which of course is not going to be pursued. The Battle of Sablat took place. That was a defeat for the Protestant Union. Income at 11,000 gulden, relatively healthy. More battles, more fighting in this case against the Danish. The Swedes are still at war with Denmark, and Gustav Adolf attacks Malmö, which he will take. That was an important victory early in our campaign. Malmö became an important settlement. Prior to invading the continent, the French have gone apparently to war against someone. They don't always go to war that early. There are various events: tainted harvest and bandits, robbers, thieves, rubble, mostly bad for the economy or for order. Some events are good. Here's the reference to the German Florus, a historian who wrote about the war, a German historian. And construction continues. War has been declared between France and Catholic League. That's what that event was about. There are diplomatic missions with France. The Confederates, the Swiss Confederates, have gone to war with Austria after being attacked by the Austrians there. And more wars. The Duchy of Württemberg is at war with Mainz, and the old Swiss Confederacy is now at war with the Archduchy of Austria. Income is now at around 13,600. We are now at game turn 21. And there are still battles between Sweden and Denmark. This battle was again won, unfortunately, with the loss of the Swedish general Johan of Pfalz, Johan of the Palatinate, the name of the actual heir of the Palatinate, the brother of the elector at this time. Of course, he was not involved in Sweden. And war is declared between Poland, Lithuania, and the Duchy of Prussia, Brandenburg. Perfect relations with the county Palatinate, County Palatine of the Rhine. Here's an example of extracting favors from Prussia, our allies. Good relations with the Protestant factions. Income is now up to nearly 17,000 gulden, and Johan Baden, our great general, fights another battle against the Danish army. And here you can see Baden being active. They have taken Freiburg from Austria, and they have taken Rottweil from the Catholic League. They were indeed active early in the war. A miracle has happened that is a good event that helps public order and the cities. Income is still high. Here we can see the various factions in a summary. Just a few selected factions. The Protestant Union is at the top, Catholic League follows, Austria is third, Spain fourth, Poland, Lithuania Fifth, in Sweden still has a long way to go. Here's an event of the devaluation of the German gulden beginning at this period. It was the main coin used in Germany. And more efforts from our diplomats to follow historical events. Here, Dante is obtained from the Protestant Union in exchange for cash. In actual history, the city was taken by siege, but here through diplomatic mission, and the Swedes are now on the coast of Poland. More little rebellions in Sweden easily quelled, and finally a ceasefire with the Kingdom of Denmark-Norway accepted by the Danish diplomat. You can see how our relations are terrible. Our diplomat proposed alliance, generous, was not accepted. Attack also on marauders, very generous, still not accepted. Alliance plus some cash plus attack on marauders, various other offers for military access, very generous. Our diplomat doesn't give up. An alliance is offered again, and this time the offer is accepted and relations have improved to poor. Our diplomat persists. He makes more offers here, cash and attacks on marauders, map information, various other things in exchange for military access. Eventually, relations become reasonable. Mission has expired. The mission to take Rome, since Rome belonged to Denmark, which is now our ally. And relations are now perfect with Denmark-Norway, thanks to our great diplomat and his persistence. Denmark has taken Eutin from Bremen, while the Swiss Confederacy has taken Innsbruck from Austria. The Duchy of Brunswick has taken Stade from Bremen, while Baden is pursuing their attack of the southern part of Württemberg towards Bavaria, attacking Überlingen, improvement in relations with the other Protestants. We're now at game turn 26, and we have an offer of a guild, a West India Company guild at Norrköping, which offer is accepted. The guild gives bonus trade and movement benefits. And we will leave at this point part 1 of the campaign. See you in part 2. Goodbye for now.